Hey everyone, it's Ed. Welcome to another episode of Ed Talks. And this one's really special to me because, as you know, I'm super passionate about patient experience, having lived both sides. And we have a super guest today that has also had that same kind of experience living both sides. And it's super profound. We're going to highlight Stephanie Abbott's book, and we're going to put all the information in the show notes. But Stephanie, I'm so glad we connected and that you're here on Ed Talks. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, when I read your story, I followed you on LinkedIn and I read your story and I ordered the book. And it was just amazing because I love the fact that, jumping ahead a little bit here, but it's not only practical as a patient, but you also drop 100 plus expert insights. And I love reading it because it's folded right in with your story. So as you read the story, you see where the expert insights come in, and I think the audience will better understand where those insights come from as we talk a little bit about your journey. But before we get to that part of it, just tell us about yourself, personally, family-wise, leading up to the point where you became ill.
Yeah. So I've been a healthcare executive for about 15 years, and I always knew I was going to go into healthcare. My dad had many senior roles in healthcare, and at 10 years old, I was helping him proofread legal documents sitting at the kitchen table. So I saw how passionate my dad was, and it was just a natural fit for me. I met the love of my life, who is my best friend, and we have two amazing children, a boy and a girl, and we enjoy, doing the things that you do with young children, like Disney and the beach and boating. So that's my world.
Yeah, that's awesome. And professionally, as you alluded to, you followed your dad's footsteps, and you were just knocking it out of the park in terms of your career. Tell us a little bit about your career.
Yeah, so I started my career working for a great organization in human resources, and then naturally progressed into quality management, patient experience, then consumer experience. And it's just been a whirlwind of lots of learning over the past decade.
Yeah, it's you've had a fabulous career to date, and I'm certain it's continuing forward. So yeah, so all of a sudden, and I don't want to give away the story in the book, but you find yourself with the grape. You find yourself like, oh, there's something I need to get checked out. So tell us now what's going on. So we got where you are personally, professionally, but wow, what a surprise happened. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so my son was still an infant. He was 10 months old. I had just moved cross country, 2,300 miles away from my support system, signed on for my dream job working for a great company and an amazing boss. And then I got diagnosed with breast cancer. I found a grape. And at the time, my son was so little that after a woman has a baby, things are just different. So I was like, oh, it's nothing. And it actually turned out to be something.
Yeah, wow. And so tell us about that journey that then led to the book. So we'll cover the journey and then we're going to dive right into the book.
Yeah. So once I got diagnosed, I went through all those emotions, right? And just like anybody else would, I'm human. And I remember at one point being mad at God and being like, why did I just move me across country and now I'm experiencing, am I going to die? Like, what is this? And I saw a meme. I'm a millennial, but I'm a good millennial, whatever that means, I've been told. So I saw this meme that said, why are you putting me through troubled waters? And the response was, because your enemies can't swim. At the time, I didn't understand what that meant, but now I do. Yeah. And so I got the idea that I needed to record everything about this experience, what I was feeling, the friction that I was experiencing along the healthcare journey. And so that's exactly what I did.
So tell us, before we get into the book, though, tell us the ending of the story as well.
I am cancer-free, no evidence of disease. Yeah. So my theme throughout my book, my motto was, I'm going to survive, I'm going to thrive, and then I'm going to make a difference for as many people as I possibly can. So I'm in that, starting to move to thrive. I'm still on medication that tends to take a lot out of you. So we're still playing with the dosage on that to help me thrive, but I am well on my way to thriving and making a difference.
Yeah, that's awesome. I didn't want to leave our listeners hanging there, what's going on. But yeah, so thankful for your healing. And I super appreciate, and I know thousands and hundreds of thousands and maybe millions of people will appreciate the fact that you were intentional throughout the process and writing everything down, because it's like, it reads like a diary, with all the different entries that you have, and you can see exactly what's happening and what's going on emotionally, physically, and those sorts of things. And then again, you drop, all of these insights. So obviously that's how the book came about. So can you tell us, there's 100 plus, I know it's gonna be hard because they're all good. I've read all 100 of them. Drop one or two of these expert insights that you think our audience, mostly the audience here, right, is going to be our peer group from healthcare. What would you like them to know out of the book?
While I was going through this, and yes, it's written like a diary, and I call out healthcare because being in healthcare for 15 years, I understand why we do what we do for the most part, but now here's how it felt as a patient. And so one of the things that in healthcare we continually talk about is access. And you keep hearing from your loved ones, and as you experience your own care, how long it takes to get in to see a doctor. And then when you actually see the doctor or see a different type of provider, you don't always get actionable results. We do a lot about talking about the problem without actually getting to start treatment. And the reason why, always, right, we're talking figuratively, but a lot of times we have access because of the way it's designed. I kept hearing from providers, from, clinic staff, from insurance agencies, from test results, 7 to 10 days. That was the answer for everything, 7 to 10 days. Well, we have access issues because of how it's designed.
Yeah. Yeah. You bring out a lot of things. I think sometimes when we work in it and we're not directly impacted, like as a patient, like you and I have been, it sounds all good theoretically, but when you're bringing this human element to it, like, no, it's like a wake up call. No, look, this is what it's really like for our patients. And it's great, again, for you to have written all this out, because we don't want other people to have that same experience that we did, to have that aha moment. We'd rather have them learn from our experiences so that we can make everything better. What about for a patient perspective? What's one of the insights that you think is particularly important in the book?
I think too, this is good for patients, but it's also really good for healthcare leaders too. It's no surprise when I say we have infection control issues in healthcare, right? And so for so long, we've been focused on hand hygiene. Well, I want to say that patients notice a lot more than what we think. And although I know we have a hand hygiene problem, I think part of the problem too is that we touch too much stuff. Once we know our hands are clean, we touch too much stuff afterwards. And so there's so many different times, like in my book, that I do call out where, a clinician was getting ready to access my port and washed their hands and then put on the gloves. And then before they went to go touch me, they pulled the curtain. They touched the computer board. Yeah. And there is MRSA and C. diff and all these disgusting things on curtains. And let's talk about the elephant in the room. We don't actually clean the curtains every patient. We can't, right? And so when we talk about trying to keep patients safe and healthy and out of the hospital, we sometimes create more of a problem not even thinking about it because our hands are clean, but then we touch all this other stuff before we touch the patient.
Yeah, that's super insightful, because again, you don't, until you're laying in the bed like you were and I have, it changes the perspective and you start to see things. Coupled with your healthcare background, then it gives you these amazing insights. I was particularly touched or interested in a couple of the different experiences you talked about. One was pray with faith. So you talked about prayer with faith, and sometimes, it's hard to find that faith in the midst of all this stuff. So can you unpack that particular angle a little bit?
Right. So Your mind is more powerful than we give it. And wherever your mind goes is really where your body is going to go with it as well, right? So if you have negative thoughts, you start to produce cortisol and you don't heal as fast as well. So I would just always change my thoughts from the negative to the positive. And so my faith is what really helped me get through this. I had never seen the verse Jeremiah 29:11 until I started to go through cancer. And that verse says, "For I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you, to give you life, not harm you."
Yeah.
And I kept seeing that. And so at one point I saw this verse also, it was like First John, that said, "There is no darkness in him." And so I started to think about, as I'm facing everything, all the bad things, issues at work, issues at home, issues in your health. And so you can always go down that negative rabbit hole, but you have to pull yourself out. And so when you pray about it, you pray with faith and you focus on the positive so that you can see the positive or see that sparkle when it feels very dark.
Yeah. No, I love that. That's awesome. The other, you could see a dog-eared many parts, but the other one, maybe because it was towards the end, but it's hard to pick a favorite. But I love that sort of attitude. Maybe you could unpack it a little bit. It's really the last entry. You picked the wrong chick. Tell us about that. What was your
That's what I was going to name the book at one point. And then, just kind of thought about it a little bit more. But, I had once said that cancer was a blessing for me. And man, did I get beat up on my LinkedIn for that. And so in my space, though, it really taught me a different perspective. We can go through healthcare and, as experts leading healthcare, whatever your role is, you really see things different as a patient. And when I got diagnosed, I called up a friend and I was venting and I was upset. And I'm like, well, why me? And my friend was, why not you?
Yeah.
And so once I changed my perspective, again, focusing on that positivity, I thought I am the right person to go through this because I have a different eye than most patients, right? And I can help improve healthcare. So cancer picked the right chick, but it picked the wrong chick to mess with.
Yeah. No, I love it. It's super inspirational. So like I said, I'm going to drop all of the information about you, Stephanie, in the notes. I know that you're speaking a lot. Of course, the book, there's other things that you're doing that people can find on the website and how to contact you. And it's just amazing. I appreciate it. I really recommend everyone in healthcare read this book because you have to really understand the patient experience. And it's great when you hear it now from someone who's also a healthcare professional executive. So it brings a whole nother layer of depth and meaning. And then from a patient perspective with their families, super important insights as well. A lot to learn from. And I really appreciate you, Stephanie. You're a beautiful soul. I wish we had met earlier, but I'm glad we connected now. And I'm sure we'll see each other in healthcare circles. But thank you so much for spending time with us, sharing about the book. And thank you again for being vulnerable and transparent, putting everything about your life in this piece of work. So thank you, Stephanie, for being our guest.
Thank you for inviting me. I appreciate it.